Hello, good evening. I'm Roger Johnson. Welcome to Thursday's North West Tonight. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our top story. 6 years in prison for the abusive boyfriend whose partner blamed him as she took her own life.
You are a clear danger to any partner you may have in the future.
Kiana Dawes' brother told the court the world now knows what a monster Ryan Wellings is. Also tonight, Cheshire MP Mike Amesbury apologises to his victim after he admits punching a man in a late-night row.
A deep, dark eye set in a wrinkle of murk. You would have known right away.
A 100-year partnership to boost reading among school children in Liverpool and Ukraine. 10 years in the making, the New Year's resolution, which took 25 million stitches to become a reality.
It's marvellous, absolutely marvellous. The detail, you know, the detail is so good.
And I've really struggled tonight picking the photographs because they have been incredible. I mean, look at this on Pendle Hill, winter sunshine, it's been gorgeous. Same again tomorrow? Join me at the end of the programme, I'll give you all the details.
Ryan Wellings was jailed for 6 years today. He subjected his partner, Kiana Dawes, to 2 years of violence and abuse. And when she killed herself in 2022, Kiana blamed him for driving her to it. Well, Wellings was cleared of manslaughter earlier this week, but imprisoned for assault and coercive and controlling behaviour. Kiana's brother said that the world would now know what a monster Wellings is. A warning that Katie Barnfield's report tonight contains some distressing details and pictures.
Described by her family as the sweetest, kindest and gentlest person, 23-year-old Kiana Dawes took her own life after years of violence and abuse. It was at the hands of her partner, Ryan Wellings. Seen here singing and joking after being charged with her manslaughter. Although cleared of causing her death, he was convicted of assault and coercive and controlling behaviour. For that, he's been given 6 years behind bars.
You told her that if she spoke out about your abuse of her, she would not be believed because of her mental illness. You persuaded her that if she called the police to report you, her child would be taken from her. You persuaded her that she was an unfit mother and that her family and friends no longer cared for her. Though an extended determinate sentence is not available in this case, you are a clear danger to any partner you may have in the future.
After meeting in 2020, Kiana said what was initially a fairy tale turned into a nightmare. She told friends and the police about Wellings' repeated attacks, including trying to strangle her with a phone charger, hitting her in the face with a door and pushing her head into a bath she'd run for their baby daughter.
Matt, just try and take a deep breath, OK? We're here to help.
He also abused her emotionally, using her mental health condition to convince her he could get their baby taken off her.
He knows that I don't have anyone.
And threatening even more violence, like throwing acid in her face or drilling out her teeth. In July 2022, she dropped her baby off with a friend and left to take her own life. On her phone, which she'd left next to her daughter, was a suicide note. It said, "I was murdered. Ryan Wellings killed me." In court today, Kiana's mum Angela spoke of her concern for Kiana's baby, saying the baby was exposed to and experienced extreme domestic abuse and violence against her mummy. She's already asked me where her mummy is. I found it impossible to answer that question. Ryan Wellings became the first person to face trial accused of unlawful killing after their partner's suicide following domestic abuse.
The sentence seems to be at the very maximum level that the judge could hand down. So in that sense, it's an appropriate sentencing given the evidence. The question really arises, and one thing that we may need to look at moving forward is whether where a death arises from coercive and controlling behaviour, there should be a longer sentencing options.
The guy is so clever and believable, and even now I feel bad
sound like I've caused trouble, but I've had
you've not caused trouble at all.
Kiana Dawes called the police at least 5 times about the abuse before she died. 3 officers from Lancashire Police are now facing misconduct proceedings. Her family say they truly hope no other young mother has to go through what she did. Katie Barnfield, BBC North West Tonight.
Now, the suspended MP, Mike Amesbury, could be sent to prison after admitting assaulting a member of the public in a late-night row in the street. The 55-year-old apologised to Paul Fellows, who'd been complaining about the closure of a bridge near Frodsham in Cheshire. Mr Amesbury, suspended by the Labour Party, of course. He's sitting as an independent at the moment. Phil Cunliffe is live in Frodsham. And Phil, you're at the scene where it happened.
Yes, it was on this main street in Frodsham, around about 2 o'clock in the morning last October, that Mike Amesbury got himself embroiled in what he said today was a highly regrettable incident. What began as an argument with one of his constituents over a bridge closure escalated into Mike Amesbury punching Paul Fellows in the head. Both men had arrived at this taxi rank behind me alone at the same time. Both had been drinking. CCTV footage then shows the victim lying on the ground being punched a further 5 times by Mr Amesbury, who is also heard at one point shouting, "You won't threaten your MP again." Well, today the MP pleaded guilty to a charge of assault by beating, and outside court offered this apology.
Highly regrettable, and the incident in October. I'm sincerely sorry to Mr Fellows and his family.
In court, Mr Amesbury's defence lawyer tried to give some context for his actions, calling it a momentary incident. He said the MP had felt threatened and that it played on his fears over personal security. Now, this stemmed from the fact that a man had been convicted of stalking him, and he'd also received recently a death threat. The judge granted Mike Amesbury bail to return for sentencing on the 24th of February.
And Phil, what does this now mean for Mike Amesbury's political career?
Well, Mike Amesbury has not resigned. That means he can carry on sitting as an independent MP. Of course, Labour suspended him from the party following the police investigations. Now, if he did quit, then that will automatically trigger a by-election for Runcorn and Helsby. And if next month he is given a prison sentence, even one that is suspended, that would trigger a recall petition. If 10% of constituents sign that petition, that too would trigger a by-election. Labour today said it was right that Mike Amesbury had taken responsibility for his unacceptable actions.
Phil Cunliffe in Frodsham, thank you very much. Now, the pressures on local council finances are well known. We've reported on them many times on this programme, but Wirral Council's situation tonight is just about as serious as it gets. Following a council meeting last night, it has asked the government for a £40 million bailout to stop it from effectively going bust. It comes hand in hand with a spending freeze and a voluntary redundancy scheme for council staff, which will launch next week.
There's an issue facing councils across the country, and that is the increasing burden of adult social care, essentially. And this is coupled with the fact that councils have a cap on the amount of council tax that they can charge their residents. And these two things, it's essentially a rock and a hard place for local government, because their cost demands are going up, but their income is not rising constantly.
Now, Wirral Council says that those surging social care costs are a major factor in its financial crisis. So £20 million of the government cash will be used to help plug its shortfall this year, while the other £20 million will support services in the new financial year and help to cover further increases in the cost of social care. But compulsory job losses and more cuts are likely as budgets are trimmed further. Well, the council's finance director says the bailout request is absolutely necessary to avoid bankruptcy. If the government pays up, though, Wirral Council taxpayers will be paying it back for the next 20 years.
Our blooming rates are like $2,500 a year, you know. How far are we going to go, sort of thing?
The council has things it needs to spend on. The budgets are getting tighter and tighter. And I think it's, the shortfall's got to come from somewhere.
That's not an isolated thing. That's going to be nationwide, isn't it? So at the moment, it doesn't matter where you're from, you're going to end up getting that.
Local councils across the country have, not least across the northwest, have long called for a review of the way in which they're financed. The Chartered Institute for Public Finance and Accountancy is currently looking at that, but with Wirral Council still repaying a previous government bailout loan, its request for another one may not be well received. Now, the government has announced a rapid review of the scale and the nature of grooming gangs in the UK after being threatened with legal action by the Greater Manchester campaigner Maggie Oliver. She'd accused the Home Secretary of failing to take sufficient action over the scandal. Yvette Cooper today told MPs that there would be 5 local inquiries into sexual abuse, the ethnicity of those responsible and any cultural causes. The Conservatives say that local inquiries aren't good enough, but most Labour MPs have welcomed the move.
Can I strongly welcome this comprehensive new national plan of action to put victims first, and welcome the appointment of Baroness Casey to conduct a rapid review into the scale and nature of these grooming gangs.
Sexual abuse and assault occur throughout the United Kingdom, are not specific to any gender, race or religion. And we have to just look at the Pelican case in France.
The former footballer Joey Barton, who lives in Widnes, has denied 2 charges of sending indecent or offensive messages on social media to the commentator Lucy Ward and to the broadcaster Jeremy Vine. The 42-year-old appeared via video link at Chester Magistrates Court. His lawyer said that Mr Barton couldn't attend in person today as he was minding the children. The former Manchester City and Burnley player was bailed and will appear again at Liverpool Crown Court next month. 2 brothers from Rochdale have appeared in court accused of assaulting police officers in a disturbance at Manchester Airport last summer. Both men, Mohammed Fahir Amaz and Mohammed Ahmad, will appear in court again next month, but say that they vehemently deny the charges. Prosecutors have previously stated that no police officers will face charges, and the police watchdog, the IOPC, is taking no further action over the incident.
The director of the IOPC, Catherine McNeice, told the family, "Don't judge us on what you hear, judge us on what we do." The family feel betrayed by both the IOPC and CPS and their so-called investigation. The family will be seeking a victim's right to review of the CPS decision and robustly complaining about the role of the IOPC.
Plans for more than 800 homes on a former industrial site in Barrow have been recommended for approval. Westmoreland and Furness Council is being urged to spend up to £16.5 million decontaminating land at the Marina Village site. A nature conservation area and public open spaces are also planned, and the government's promised nearly £25 million towards the whole project. Now, All Saints Catholic Primary School in Liverpool had a real day to remember today. 2 great children's authors, Frank Cottrell-Boyce, who's from the city, of course, and Michael Morpurgo came to visit to launch a new partnership. 50 UK schools will partner with 50 in Ukraine to promote reading and language skills. It's all part of a 100-year programme of support, which has been announced with the war-torn country, as Ian Haslam reports.
A heartfelt hello from pupils at All Saints Catholic Primary in Anfield as they were joined on video link by a class in Kyiv. Alongside them were writers Michael Morpurgo and Frank Cottrell-Boyce. Enthusiasm was high.
Mila, how much do you love reading?
A lot.
So that's a lot?
Yeah, I have loads of books. I can like transport myself to like a different universe, and like I can feel what the characters feel in the books.
In contrast, the National Literacy Trust says far fewer young people are reading for pleasure.
He sang it out this morning from his treetop in the garden to Fox, half asleep behind the garden shed. She thought it a good idea too.
What is our greatest product, actually? I know in Liverpool you probably say football, but it's not. Actually what it is our language. Our language is what has gone all around the world. We don't have to win anything with it. It is the international language. It's also a very beautiful language, and one that we must hand on to our children through the literature that they read.
Sunny sat at her window, scanning the passing murk for a glimpse of that colour, a deep, dark eye set in a wrinkle of murk, staring at her.
Primary school was where Frank Cottrell-Boyce began to show his writing potential, having been worried he didn't have a particular talent.
And I felt quite isolated, and then one day, for some reason, I just took all that sadness and I put it into a piece of work. And at the end of the lesson, the teacher, Sister Paul, she collected the work and she looked at my work and she was like, where did that come from? And She went to the front of the class and she did this amazing thing. She read it out loud. And that to me was like my eureka moment. You know, words are something you can be good at. The way some people are good at football, some people are good at maths, you can be good at words.
Hello, Prime Minister!
Then came the surprise of the morning as Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Ukraine to sign a landmark support pact joined the class.
We're going to have 100 more schools doing what these two schools are doing. So you've made history in Liverpool, you've made history here in Leeds. So thank you for that.
Children in Ukraine have been through an unimaginable ordeal, but this is also a really positive opportunity to build links between our two countries, with also a focus on how we encourage reading for pleasure here in our country too.
Wynne took Blackbird's idea.
To be able to be exposed to another culture and another country, and better than that, to do it through reading and the joy of reading, is simply incredible, and it's an experience that they'll never forget.
And it might yet further inspire some already creative minds.
You don't have to have a book in front of you. You can just have words in your head, and then you can just think them, and then you can think of a picture and everything, and then you've got your book in your head.
Are you a big reader, Evie?
Yes, I am. To me, it's really important, and it helps settle my annoying, bratty brothers and sisters.
It helps settle them down, so you read to them, do you?
Yep.
That's brothers and sisters for you, Evie?
Yep.
The schools plan to forge lasting links. Ian Haslam, BBC North West Tonight.
Bratty brothers and sisters. I'm sure lots of people can empathise with that. Fantastic, well done. Now, we're bringing you stories, as you might know, about communities and how pride in where you live can make a difference. I'm about to introduce you to these three. Yesterday, we saw how volunteers are helping in some places to keep public toilets open. Well, today, it's rubbish. There are litter picking groups right across the northwest, of course. But in Lancashire, the Keep Blackburn Tidy group goes just a little bit further than clearing up, as Molly Brewer has been finding out.
More than 90,000 bags of litter. That's the amount Keep Blackburn Tidy volunteers have collected in 6 years. But this group isn't your average litter picking group. Their ethos: one man's trash is another man's treasure.
There is, this week he found this trike. All right, it's not perfect, but hey, that will do. Some toddler. Oh, look at this lovely little puppet that was found many years ago. So this sprot was then washed and it became my youngest son, who's now 19, his favourite toy.
They're basically the human equivalent of the Wombles, and have even coined a phrase for what they do: sprotting.
It's our aim to get it in the Oxford English Dictionary. So what is a sprot? It's something that you find when you're litter picking and you think, hang on, that shouldn't go in the bin. That thing has still got a life.
We've got things here, haven't we, that you've spotted?
I'm wearing things that we've spotted. So here we are. So my jacket, and my husband, who does most of the spotting, found this in the canal. He calls this area of the canal his wife's wardrobe. But no, this jacket was brought home, washed, and now it's my favourite jacket. And
it's gorgeous.
And everybody says it suits me. It does.
Thousands of people are involved in Keep Blackburn Tidy. Stephen, who's retired, is one of them.
Well, I've met more people since I started doing this than I ever have. I'm living on my own. I go out in the day and speak to people. I could be on my own all day and not speak to anybody. You know, so it is a mental thing more than anything.
And this group is so much more than just about collecting litter. It's about signposting people to get the help they need.
We're linked up with the food bank, Red Rose Recovery. We've now got a nice little QR code that we can stick on litter bins, or a place where you find a nice little collection of hidden cans. We'll put that QR code there. It's just reaching out that little bit of love, of saying, you know, there's somebody here to help out when you're ready.
So I did meet a family that recently moved into the area. It was a single parent with 3 children, and it started off where the bins were full when they moved in. They didn't get the help to get the bins emptied, and long story short, the whole backyard was full of rubbish. They didn't know where to turn. It was fines upon fines for the rubbish. They haven't got the money to pay the fines. And we did go down, we helped that family. We took all the rubbish to the tip, and that's all they needed, that fresh start.
We know how to discreetly have those conversations and then link them up with the food bank and the other organisations. I've no end of families that we've helped out in that way.
Molly Brewer there, indulging in a bit of sprotting with the human wombles, better known as the group of Keep Blackburn Tidy, doing some great work. Now, football, Manchester United will expect 3 points at home to the Premier League's bottom side, Southampton, this evening, and that's what Everton were hoping for, weren't they? In David Moyes' first game back in charge at Goodison Park last night, but they came away, thinks he knows what he has to do to fix things.
What I now need to do is add quality, find ways of maybe getting better results if that's possible. But, you know, you just can't change sort of the whole thing around right away.
Everyone's rooting for Everton, I think. I certainly am. Hope they manage to stay up. That's really important this season. Blackburn Rovers are doing really well, trying to come the other way up from the Championship. They're into the playoff positions after last night. They had a dominant 3-0 victory at home to Portsmouth. All of Rovers' goals came in the second half, with Callum Britton's thumping strike the pick of them, and John Eustace's side are now up to 5th. Quick bit of rugby league. Salford Red Devils are being forced to sell some of their players to fit in with the financial rules. The Rugby Football League have cut the club's sustainability cap by almost £1 million, and that means the club faces continuing uncertainty as well about its future ownership, investment and income. Salford's first game of the new Super League season is against St Helens on February the 15th. Now, one of the largest ever textile art exhibitions has opened today at Liverpool's Anglican Cathedral, the largest cathedral, of course, in the UK. Threads Through the Bible is made up of 44 panels of stitched silk on old bed sheets, each panel depicting a different part of the Bible story. Now, the work has been a real labour of love for teacher-turned-artist Jackie Parkinson, who was born in Manchester, and Mairead Smith has been to see her.
This exhibition has been 10 years in the making and is one of the largest ever textile art projects.
It starts with creation, so there's lots of fun things, lots of different animals and birds and fish, lots of things to interest children. So down at the bottom of one panel, there's lots of frogs born, and then it goes into the little tadpoles, and then it ends off in a frog. So if you're at a low level, there's places of interest, and if you're looking at it from a distance, there's interest too.
It's taken you 10 years to finish this exhibition, and it all started as a New Year's resolution.
Yes, it did. I went to Regent's Park and did one textile workshop, enjoyed it so much, and here I am all these years later with this very large piece of work.
This section is called Threads Through Revelation. It's the first part that Jackie completed, and these 14 panels have already been seen by around 500,000 people in previous exhibitions. But this full piece of work in Liverpool is the first time that 3 parts have been brought together. 44 panels in total, involving 25 million stitches.
We've had lots of art in this cathedral over the years, and it's been great to welcome people to enjoy it. And here we have the darkest time of the year, this vibrant, colourful, I don't know, what's panoply, is that the right word? The lovely thing about this, it doesn't matter what language you speak or what culture, the pictures kind of speak to you. And I think anyone, whether they're a person of faith or of no faith, could really enjoy this.
Threads Through the Cross is the most recent section, completed by Jackie in November. This first panel is the birth of Jesus.
Yes, and here we have the spirals that are on Threads Through Creation. The spirals represent God, so God is present there, and we have the angel Gabriel in all his glory, and we have Mary with the baby Jesus in her arms.
It's just beautiful. I've got to one of them over here, and it actually, when I saw it and read the section about it, it actually really touched me and made me quite emotional.
It's marvellous, absolutely marvellous. The detail, you know, the detail is so good.
Quite overwhelming, really, and the way that she's portrayed in tapestry, some of the great works of God, and how it relates to our creation that we live in now.
It's just very, very moving and yeah, incredible.
Threads Through the Bible is free and open to the public at Liverpool Cathedral until the 3rd of March. Mairead Smith, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
So intricate and so colourful, aren't they? And they're getting value for money out of the Christmas tree, it seems, in the cathedral as well. Right, let's have a look at the weather. Kay is here, and you've been inspiring the next generation today been walking around on your
thousands.
phone talking to thousands of kids, apparently.
That's how you do it these days.
Yeah.
Managed to do an entire career talk for thousands of kids on my phone.
Down with the kids, you.
I kept it to myself. I didn't even introduce one. Sorry about that. It was fabulous. Thank you so much for joining in, if you did indeed. Thank you. Great questions as well. Now, beautiful weather today, hasn't it? Oh, gorgeous. A frosty start, mind. But really, the photographs don't do it justice. Blue skies, plenty of winter sunshine. Look at that on the Wirral. Just stunning. Thank you so much for your photos. If you want to send them in to me, please do. I'd love to see them. Join me on socials or become a BBC Weather Watcher and let me know what it's like where you are, which sadly tomorrow, hate to say it, it's going to be cloudier. We see a return of that mist and fog coming in overnight tonight. And for some, it will stay grey throughout the day, although there will be a few glimmers of sunshine for others. We've still just got high pressure clinging on, keeping the fronts away. And actually, in terms of rainfall, we're not really looking at anything too major. A little bit of rain overnight into Monday. But the back end of next week, that starts to look a bit more wet and windy. Clear through this evening, but the Isle of Man are already starting to see the cloud rolling and we'll get the mist and fog forming once again as well. So for that, it won't be as cold as it was last night. Temperatures drop down to between about 2 and 5 degrees. The Isle of Man, though, 9 degrees, 48 in Fahrenheit. So it will be a mild start to your day. So it will be cloudy, misty and murky. Now, we are somewhat protected by the Welsh mountains, so I do think for parts of Merseyside, maybe even Cheshire, you could well see it thinning and the cloud thinning and brightening, so potential for some sunny spells here. Elsewhere, it will stay largely cloudy. Mostly dry, though, 7 to 10 degrees. 10 is 50 in Fahrenheit. The breeze remains fairly gentle from the south, and that south is where we've had all that milder air, but for a brief time over the weekend, we start to get a bit of a chillier air mass, just for a couple of days, so Saturday and Sunday, with Sunday being the coldest of the 2 days. For some, probably won't get above freezing. It really will be chilly. Saturday, we've got a lot of cloud around, particularly low cloud, but into the afternoon, we should see it brightening. So some seeing some spells of sunshine. Again, Merseyside favouring. Temperatures around about 5 to 8 degrees on the Isle of Man. Like I said, a colder day to come on Sunday. The risk of a little bit of rain overnight into Monday. Amounts will be small. That's your forecast.
So what were the questions like? What's the weather going to be like? Can I have your job?
How much do you get paid? What time do you get up in the morning?
Really?
Which for this one,
yeah, well,
a couple of early starts, haven't we?
Thank you very much, Kay, and thank you to you for watching. Whatever you're doing, have a lovely evening. Eunice has got the late news for you tonight at 10:30. Bye-bye.
Bye.